The Sports Renegades podcast on SportsTownChicago.com. And welcome back to the Sports Renegades here on SportsTownChicago.com. I'm Ryan Stuprich.
And I'm Ryan Risky.
And right now we're going to do a little Cubs talk and also MLB talk. Before we get into that, earlier today the White Sox beat the Twins 3-1. They're now 7-2 on the season.
The Twins, I believe, don't have a win yet.
0-9.
I guess the Twins wish they got to play John Danks.
Yeah, exactly. The one like bad pitcher in the rotation.
Or even Sale. They usually light up Sale.
Yeah, they're like the one team that has really figured him out. Matt Latos is now 2-0, so that's pretty
very
interesting.
good.
Yeah, after the horrible season he had last year with Miami, and then he went somewhere else. But yeah, he's been okay. I mean, he's been really good.
Yeah, he was brutal with Miami, the Dodgers, and the Angels last year.
That's where he was.
He was with three teams, and they all couldn't wait to get rid of him.
Right. So tonight, the Cubs and Reds in the series finale between the two, it's going to be Raisel Iglesias, who's probably the one good pitcher that the Reds have. He's 1-0 with a 2.31 ERA. Jason Hamill 0-0 with a 1.50 ERA. He was okay. He got into some trouble, but he was able
to get out of it. He made big pitches when he needed to. Last night, the Reds pitchers threw 168 pitches through 5 innings.
Oh, my gosh. I didn't realize it was that much.
Simone, you know how he didn't even get out of the first?
Right.
You want to guess how many pitches he threw?
I think he threw like 50 or 60, didn't he?
He threw 51.
51 pitches, so that's embarrassing. And then
didn't even get out of the first inning.
And then they brought in Tony Cingrani, and he was bad too. So that was interesting.
I mean, the Cubs had 9 walks yesterday. I think they're on pace to shatter the major league record for walks in a season or something like. Because I think their batters are walking over 14% of the time. It's
so awesome to see them be so patient at the plate and take all these pitches, and even the pitches that are borderline, they take them, and they've been very lucky so far that those haven't been called strikes, because a lot of them have been close, but they've done a very nice job. And Hayward struggled early, but then he came through again, sort of like what he did on Monday as well when he drove in those 2 important runs in the Cubs home opener. And he's been playing pretty well. He had a nice diving catch last night, so that was good to see. And Addison Russell's starting to hit better now, which is great for my fantasy team too, but also great for the team that they can have. It's pretty much everyone in the lineup has the capability of having a really good game every game.
Right, and I think the important thing to notice is Theo had been saying all along the goal was to have a lineup full of guys that would take a lot of pitches and walk. And at the time when he was saying it, nobody was walking. Everyone would get to 3-ball counts and then swing at ball 4 every time.
Right.
And now that's not happening.
Yeah, now that's not happening, which is very good to see. Miguel Montero's been a pretty good. He's been very good. He almost hit 2 home runs in Arizona over the weekend, and those were both like off the wall.
They had a lot of long hits that either landed off the wall or were caught on the warning track. Bryant had a couple of long ones.
Right, and then he finally hit his first home run last night, which was great because he had a couple that definitely would have gone out if the Cubs were home.
I mean, the problem is that wall at Arizona, it's center field wall. It's so far away and it's so high. It's 411 feet. Right. And then throw in the fact that it's probably 25 or 30 feet tall.
Yeah.
I mean, Jake Arrieta hit a home run over it.
440-foot home run or something. I mean, that was unbelievable.
That was, and he's the first pitcher since Carlos Zambrano to hit one that far.
Yeah, and that is just that's crazy. In not even 2 full seasons right now, because we just started 2016. He had 2 home runs last year, Arrieta did.
He had 3 last year.
Oh, he had 3 last year? I forget.
I'm sorry, no, he had 2 last year, and then he had 1 this year.
The one this year, it's 3 total.
It was 3 total, and like in the starts between that and his home runs, he had allowed 2. So he had hit more home runs in a span of 22. In a span of 22 starts, he had hit more home runs than he had allowed.
I know that is like unheard of. I mean, that is just crazy. And I mean, if you're talking about the other guys who who pitched well last year. Arizona took a gamble on Zach Greinke, I guess, because he's been very bad these first 2 starts.
Arizona fans are asking themselves, how much are we paying Greinke, and what did we give up for Miller?
He didn't even win the Cy Young last year because Jake Arrieta won it. So, it's not like you were taking the Cy Young because, when you have Cy Young, you're probably worth a little more.
Yeah, I'm sure Scott Boras took note of how much money Greinke got.
Yeah. I mean, it's just ridiculous. And Kershaw has been good again, which is expected. He's pretty much the best pitcher in baseball and has been since he came into the league, 5 or 6 years ago. But yeah, he's been very good. I mean, all those pitchers have been good. The Cubs starting rotation has been excellent, and it was great to see John Lackey pitch really well last night. Got into some trouble early, got out of it, and then just shut down Cincinnati after that.
Lackey's really the only one that has been lit up in a game.
Right. Yeah, because Kyle Hendricks pitched very well, and I'm excited to see how he does this year because he was pretty good last year, and some people thought, oh, maybe it's a fluke, maybe he's not going to be in the rotation when the Cubs actually win, when they do good, but he's done a great job so far, and he's definitely a great 4th or 5th man.
Right, and he's only going to get better, and the thing about him is that he's just a smart pitcher.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, he definitely is. He's very deceptive, I think is what they say. And
he paints the corners. He doesn't have overpowering stuff. He's just a smart pitcher. He paints the corners and uses his off-speed pitches effectively.
Right. So yeah, I mean, everyone's been doing pretty well. The Cubs are 7-1, and the one game that they lost, they could have easily won that game as well.
I think that game was kind of like the hangover effect from the Schwarber injury because they didn't look very good. I mean, when you find out one of your really good players is out for the season, everyone's going to come in a bad mood. They're not going to be as focused on the game. They're going to be in a sad mood.
Right.
Took them one game. They're back on track.
Yeah.
And the thing about Monday, I was just kind of thinking, when they were still down 3-0 and still didn't have a hit, I was just kind of like, this was a couple of years ago. They might get a hit and then lose 3-0.
Yeah.
Where I was like, this team could easily have a big comeback in the 7th or 8th inning.
Right.
And sure enough, they did.
And then, of course, Hayward drove in those 2 important runs, and then Addison Russell with that huge bomb.
And Len Casper said on the broadcast that had only been the second time he had been in the Wrigley booth while it was shaking from being so loud, and the other time was when Kerry Wood hit that home run against the Marlins in Game 7 of the NLCS.
And
he was with the Marlins
right,
at the time.
The interesting about that is he was with the broadcast crew with Miami. I think he was there before he went to the Cubs.
He was. Back then they were Florida.
Right.
Yeah, I mean, that was absolutely nuts. I mean, could you imagine in Game 7 of the NLCS this year, Jake Arrieta hits a long home run like that?
Oh my gosh, I mean, that's going to be insane.
Except instead of then pitching terrible like Wood did, Arrieta just shuts the door.
Yeah, I don't think that's going to happen. We have a good pitching coach now. We didn't have a very good pitching coach in 2003.
Larry Rothschild. I mean, he wasn't bad, except he wasn't like a wizard like Bosio.
Right, and then of course, a lot of people screwed up, including Dusty Baker. The Cubs, after this game against the Reds tonight, they play the Rockies in a weekend series, and then they go to St. Louis. So that's a big series early on in the season, and then they go to Cincinnati after that. So they're going to be gone for a while.
That could be like a statement series against the Cardinals that they can take 2 of 3 or even sweep them.
It definitely could.
It'll be tough. And then they're back home, and we're going to a game against the Brewers.
That should be easy. Hopefully, the Cubs had, I think, early in the season, especially the Cubs had issues against Milwaukee, but I think this is completely different. Let's take a look at the MLB standings real quick before we get on up out of here. San Francisco leads the NL West. They're 6-3. The Dodgers are 5-4. Colorado's 4-4. Those are the leaders right there. In the NL Central, the Cubs lead at 7 to the Cubs are 7-1. Cincinnati 5-3. St. Louis 5-4. Pittsburgh 5-5. Milwaukee 4-5. So that's a tight race. Besides the Cubs, of course. The NL East, Washington is playing pretty well. I think maybe they started to figure things out, and it's really not surprising. I think I said on the show a few weeks ago that I thought Dusty Baker would be a good fit for that team. I didn't say
ruining
that
pitchers' arms.
Well, that's true, and that's kind of a bad thing because they have Strasburg and some other young arms. But he brings teams to the playoffs. He doesn't win, but he brings teams to the playoffs, and he did that with Cincinnati like 2 or 3 years in a row. He did that with the Cubs, and he did that with the Giants. They went all the way to the World Series.
I mean, I think that Bud Black would have been a better fit for them if they didn't screw up the negotiations with him and insult him.
Well, yes, I agree with that, obviously, but but I think. I don't know. I think he can connect with his players.
Part of the problem last year is both of us agree that Matt Williams just wasn't a good manager, where if they had a better manager, they might have won more games because they have a stacked team.
Yeah, they do. They arguably have the second or third best team in the National League, along with the Cubs and maybe the Mets, if you talk about their pitching, or San Francisco, more likely. So the NL East standings: Washington 6-1. Philadelphia 5-5, surprisingly enough. Miami 3-4, Mets 3-5. Atlanta yet to win a game, 0-8, and the Twins are 0-9 as well.
Oh, and it doesn't sound like Atlanta's getting a win today after Julio Teheran just gave up a grand slam to Bryce Harper.
Yeah, no, I don't think so. AL West, that's a division a lot of people thought would be a lot better. So far, it's kind of been struggling. Angels are 5-4, Texas 5-5, Oakland 4-5, Houston 3-6, Seattle 3-6.
I mean, the Angels certainly rebounded after getting destroyed by the Cubs.
Yeah, they did. AL Central, the White Sox lead it 7-2. Detroit not far behind. Same with Kansas City. They're both 6-2. So those I think we expected those to be the three best teams in the division. At least I did.
The Indians are still a wild card because their pitching staff is that good. Except right now they might not have enough offense, especially with Michael Brantley out.
Yeah, they're 4-3 right now. Minnesota 0-9, and then the AL East, Baltimore off to a surprisingly good start. They're 7-1. The Yankees are 4-3. Boston's 4-4. Toronto's 4-5. Tampa Bay 3-6. So, yeah, that's still anybody's game. And I guess if Baltimore stays good all year, that could be a very competitive division.
Could be. I don't think their starting pitching is going to be good enough. That's just my I don't think their starting pitching.
They've got Chris Tillman. He's okay. Who else do they have? I don't even know.
Ubaldo Jimenez.
Yeah, Ubaldo Jimenez. He screws up way too much.
Yeah, I mean, their pitching staff isn't the best, except it's been better than the Red Sox. You see, the Red Sox had the worst pitching staff in the MLB.
Yeah.
It has like a 7.52 ERA. Even David Price has a really high ERA.
Right. He usually saves that for the playoffs, so I don't know. But that could be a three-team race between Toronto, Boston, and Baltimore for sure, because I think that the Yankees are probably a step behind those teams. And Tampa Bay is a step behind those teams too. So yeah, those are look at the standings. Cubs are 7-1. That's tied for the best record in the MLB with Baltimore, and they're going to look to extend to 8-1 tonight against the Reds. We'll be at the game, and hopefully the Cubs play really well in that game too, and hopefully it won't be too cold either. We're going to take a break, and we'll be right back. Sports Renegades, SportsTownChicago.com. The Sports Renegades podcast on SportsTownChicago.com.